Check 1, 2. Two minutes. Check. Test. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cape Coral Talk Radio, episode number 1. Thank you all for that round of applause. We appreciate you guys coming out. We have a nice big crowd here at the Hooked Island Grill, and we have a great guest tonight. We have a great guest for the next 3 months lined up for you. The first thing I want to say is thank you to Kyle and Dawn and everybody here at Hooked Island Grill for allowing us to come in. Can we have a big hand for them? Very nice. And Kim and I want to kind of give you a quick rundown of why we're here and who we are, and then we'll get into our interview with the mayor. I don't know if all of you know this. Some of you do because I see your shirts on. But we've been doing a show on Fort Myers Beach for the last 7 years. We have 2 shows still on the beach, Saturday morning at Margaritaville and Sunday with the mayor. We do a show with the mayor every Sunday on Fort Myers Beach at Wahoo Willie's. And it really just started out as, a thing at Pete's Timeout, which isn't there anymore because of the hurricane. We met an elderly gentleman who just started telling stories about the beach. And we thought, man, we have to put you on tape. So we started recording them. And then we got our laptop out. We invited Jackie from the chamber on the first show. And then it was for gas money back then. And then the storm hit.
Let's just hope that this first show goes better than that last first show, because it was a train wreck with your...
Right, my mechanics. The laptop fell off the table and Jackie had to come back the next week. And so... as you can see.
And he's still learning the equipment, so you're going to have to bear with us for a minute while he has to turn his mic down because he's so loud. Earlier, there was a gentleman sitting here. He's got his back to us now. I don't blame him. I said, is it too loud? He's like, she said, he's deaf, and his ears are bleeding. So hopefully we're not too loud. And
so... if you don't know what's going to happen for the next hour, she's going to correct me or make sure that my grammar is right or insult me, but that's part of the whole shtick. So
no, it's not a shtick.
Yeah, that's the way it is at home too.
That's actually how I feel.
So, the storm hit on Fort Myers Beach and it kind of wiped out everything. And then we were doing the show every single night of the week and it became a full-time job. And the way this show started was we were doing 5K races on Fort Myers Beach to raise money. We really raised a lot of money on Fort Myers Beach for different organizations. And a lot of people from Cape Coral were coming over the bridge to run in those 5K races. And so I sent out an email to a bunch of people that follow us from Cape Coral and asked them about doing a show out here. And they said, oh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going out here. And so I reached out to some folks on the city council, and we got in touch with Kyle. And this is how it all started. About 6 weeks ago, we sat at this table with this idea. And here you all are, and here we are. And we appreciate you coming out and the mayor coming on. We have guests lined up from the city council. Of course, you got a big election coming up next year. So we have a lot of the candidates. If you're running for office next year for the city council, raise your hand so everybody knows you're here.
Raise your hand if you're running.
If you're running for, there we go. There's a couple of people over here that are running for office. They're all scheduled to come on the show. So we'll have them on at later dates. So that's the whole history of why we're here, and we hope you guys support us. We have a Facebook page, obviously. We have a YouTube channel, and we also have a website, which will have a newsletter, all the news from Cape Coral that starts next Friday. So enough about us. The real reason why you're here is not to see us talk to each other. It's because we have our first guest lined up, and we would like a big round of applause for the mayor of Cape Coral, the city of Cape Coral, Mr. John Gunter. Big hand for the mayor.
Are we going to?
I don't think so. If we do, I'll adjust it. And we want to say also that today's show is sponsored by Nuviva Weight Loss. I'll take care of it while we get going. And if anybody wants to talk to somebody
everybody down.
from Nuviva, just don't face the microphone that way.
Okay.
We have a table right here from our sponsors. So, Mayor, can you give everyone a rundown of when you were elected, how you got into office, just kind of the background?
Yeah, I was elected back in 2017 as a District 1 council member, and I was serving in that role. Unfortunately, our mayor had passed away in 2021. The council had elected me to take that position in 2021, and I've been mayor since then. Ran for re-election in 2022 as mayor, and my election's up, or my term is up next year.
Gotcha. So getting right into the issues, if we can, one of the big things that people want to know about right off the bat is the yacht club and the boathouse. So we figure we just jump right into that. The deadline for an agreement for the boathouse is tomorrow. Can you share news with us that you have an agreement, something signed on the dotted line with the folks at the boathouse?
And I just want to say that the deadline on tomorrow is for the concessionaires agreement, correct? Okay.
In the settlement agreement.
And the settlement agreement. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so the deadline was set by council for tomorrow. And, we've been working on this contract, for many months now, probably since about January. And I think it's important to mention the Kearns group had 9 years left on their lease. What they had asked for was a 30-year agreement. So that's one of the reasons why we were going back and revisiting the lease agreement and working through that process. And we've been doing that diligently over the last 9 months. And I'm happy to tell you, as of today, our city staff, our city management, our city attorney, and the Kearns group came to an agreement and signed an agreement. So that is done up to that point. It does have to come before council on September 17th for approval. I don't think we'll have any problem there. The main thing I wanted to report today is we've got that agreement finalized.
It's nice to start off a show and the first thing you have is breaking news about something so important to the community. So thank you for bringing that. And so how does the agreement relate to when that building comes down? Is there going to be a date when that building comes down so the people in the neighborhood know?
I was told here, our city manager is here now, and he just reported that particular structure should be coming down on September 18th.
All right,
Wow.
September 18th. So
Right around the corner.
very nice. And just one last part about the boathouse. There was some stuff said that the city was getting into things like the color of chairs. Can you straighten all that out? Was it that in the weeds of things that the city was looking for, or was that just made up?
I think mainly what we were doing is trying to protect our best interests as a city moving forward. And if you look at the lease agreement that they had before, compared to the one that they have now, that it's a lot more detailed. And I think since it is a 30-year lease, if you think about it, all the people that are here now to put this together probably won't be here in 30 years.
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that we protected our assets. It's our building. It's our park. So I think our agreement was a lot more detailed. That's why it took a little longer. But as you can see, as of today, we got that all worked.
Very nice. And so about the yacht club, there's some concern that it's kind of taken long to get rebuilt in the whole thing. So why is it taking so long, and where do we stand on the entire yacht club situation?
Yacht club is, a little differently. If you look at the improvements that we're doing there, we have waterway improvements and we have improvements on the land with structures. So first off, all of our consultants told us that it would be better to do the waterway improvement first. Of course, we had to file for Army Corps permits. We did that back in 2021. We didn't get our Army Corps permit until April of this year. And what does that mean? We were waiting for the input of the Army Corps before we could even put the project out to bid, because they could outline things within the permit that we didn't have listed, in our permit. So once that was finally issued, almost 4 years later, we were able to put that out, to bid. And right now, our city management is working through the bids with Wright Construction. There's a CMAR that is running that particular project, and the docks and the seawall construction should be starting hopefully within about the next 60 days or so. So that's that aspect. As far as the design of all of the structures that are going to be out for bid, that's 90% designed now. It should be 100% completed by the end of the year. And we will put that out to bid hopefully after the first of the year to get that project moving forward as well. We know the Kearns Group will be doing the construction. They're doing the design now of the structure that they'll be constructing. And then also we have the pier. The pier's about 90% also. We are waiting for the Army Corps permit.
Of course you are.
Oh boy, don't hold your breath.
We're hoping that process is moving a little quicker than the first. So we're hoping to get the permit from the Army Corps on the pier, hopefully right after the first of the year, so we can put that out for bid as well.
So when do you see some ribbon cuttings, and when will the boathouse be done, and when will, what kind of horizon for people to kind of put in their head about when things are going to be, construction starts and these things are open again?
Yeah, I'm hoping to see some groundbreaking events right after the first of the year. We could even have one sooner for the docks and the seawalls that hopefully in the next 60 days will be breaking ground. But most of it will have a groundbreaking after the first of the year. I'd say the Kearns Group, with design and permitting, I can't see them probably starting till probably this time next year. And probably the same with some of the structures that we will be building as a city as well. So you're looking a couple years still before you're going to start seeing some doors open.
So you already have the funds and the funding for the pier. That's already set aside. You've got that so that you can roll that out quickly once you get the permit.
Yeah, the most important thing is, once we get all of the Army Corps permits, like I said, the design, you have to put it out for bid. So we haven't identified exactly how the funds will be utilized to pay for the improvements. We'll know that once 100% of the design is completed. And then as a council, we'll have that discussion exactly how those projects will be funded.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So why did that? We're going to pivot a little bit. Why did the city decide to make major changes to J.C. Park? Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, J.C. Park, I think two things really determine why we move forward with J.C. Park. One was our Parks Master Plan that identified that we needed to have more enhanced parks here in the city of Cape Coral. And also we did a ULI, which is our Urban Land Institute, did a report a little over a year ago, probably now is when council got it. It said that we needed to have more water access parks here in Cape Coral. And as you know, if you look at all of our parks, I would say that J.C. Park is probably the best water access park that we have. So that's why the determination by staff and by council was to move forward with that project.
And so for folks that said it was fine the way it was it fine the way it was? Did it really need to be
enhanced?
Well, I guess that's up for an opinion. You know, for my opinion, I'd walk down through that park before any construction. Well, even before we even had a discussion on J.C. Park and an improvement. And I thought to myself that we could offer more to the community than what we were offering with the existing J.C. Park. I think it's going to be a beautiful gem of our city when it's completed. Actually, today I saw some pictures of the progress. And I think that particular project, the contractor has until April of next year to get it completed. I think when we have that ribbon cutting, I think a majority of our community will be glad that we moved forward with the improvements.
What are some of the enhancements that are going to be there that weren't there before?
Well, I know a few of the enhancements that we're going to have. I mean, first of all, it's going to be ADA compliant. It was nowhere near ADA compliant. You know, we're going to have many walking trails through there. We're going to have more shade trees than we had in the when we had the Australian pines. I think that you know, there was a discussion to have some type of a bistro down there. That has kind of fallen through the cracks up to this point, but I know that'll be a discussion for the future. You're going to have water access. We are going to have some in a phase 2. We will have some type of dockage down there, so you'll be able to come in by boat. So I think when it's done, I think the community is going to be well pleased.
Will there be a food truck park there, or no?
The bistro initially was a discussion to have some food truck vendors there. That particular aspect of the development has kind of not progressed. So it's not saying that we can't do something in the future, but that was a discussion as far as the concept plan in the beginning.
And do you think it'll be finished on time? It seems like there was some concern that it took a little longer to get going, or the timetable wasn't
The
perfect.
contractor has until April of 2026
Be done.
to be completed. That's in his contractual obligations. The last discussion that I know staff had with the contractor, he was hoping sometime in February, but the fact of the matter is he does have till April of 26 to get it complete.
Gotcha. All right, so on to the next topic that I wanted to bring up. There seemed to be a hullabaloo about citizens' input. And just to kind of give you guys a little bit of background, like this city council meets at 4 o'clock. Do you realize that most of the other councils and town councils and boards, they meet at 9 o'clock. The county board meets at 9:30. Sanibel meets in the morning. I mean, and your council meets at 4 o'clock. And the second thing about where to put the public comment, one of the things that I saw that this city council does, I know this isn't going to go over well, but I think you guys have it a lot better than a lot of the other municipalities, because what happens is they're trying to find citizens' input where everybody could be there. Imagine if it's 11 o'clock in the morning and you have a job. And then what this council does that I've never seen in all the years I've been covering government, is each council member goes through when they respond to every public comment. And I really wish you guys didn't do that because it extends the meeting. It could extend the meeting by another 30 minutes. I've never seen that before. So are you comfortable with the way the citizens' input is going?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at citizen input, if you look over the years, it's been a variety of ways.
Mhm.
And I think that one of the main objectives when this council had the discussion a few months ago on citizens input, we have legislative hearings and quasi-judicial hearings that you have a vast majority of either attorneys, engineers, a variety of professionals that are there for those hearings. So I think what we were trying to do is get through that process first. In any one of those hearings, by state statute, you have to provide citizens' input in each one of those hearings. Now, what we were attempting to do, I believe, as a collective council, is to get through those hearings first. And when you look at citizens' input time, it is an opportunity for the citizens to weigh in on either a topic that we are discussing that particular night, or actually any topic involving city government.
Yeah.
So when you look at 3 minutes, because that's all a citizen has is 3 minutes, it's difficult to get your point across in 3 minutes. I know I've went to the county commission meeting and had that same 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And you got to be on your A game to try to get your point across. So I think it's better for the community to reach out to their council members, either by phone, by email. We have e-comments that you can, that I know most of us read before the meeting. The city clerk puts them out around 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then also the citizens have the citizens input time. Now, for me personally, and I'm only talking for me personally, when we had that discussion, I only wanted one segment in the agenda for citizens input. There was some discussion breaking it up and trying to have two. I personally don't care where that citizens input is, as long as it's at one opportunity. I think what we're going to do as a council, after 6 months, we're going to go back and we're going to take a look at it. I know we're collecting data. I have our staff collecting data, who the participants are, and how many participants that we're having. The most important asset that I think or change that we made is the comment cards. I think that's a great opportunity because that gives staff the opportunity. If someone comes and has an issue, we can reach out with them. If a council member wants to reach out to that individual, we have their contact information. We can reach out to them. So I think that was the biggest benefit, in my opinion, as that whole discussion went down.
Yeah,
I guess the thing that I listened to as I was poking around is that people, if the comment was at the end, they felt like they didn't get to impact your opinion in the beginning. So is it the comment cards and the e-comments and that stuff that people can put in before it's described? Is that kind of way out that opposite?
That gives them that opportunity. I mean, we just had a discussion on mobility fees in our last meeting.
Yes, you did.
And I bet I got 100 emails about that. How many people showed up and actually spoke about it?
About
Maybe
5.
a half a dozen.
Yeah.
So the 100 emails was more impactful than the 6 people. If you look at as far as the ratio.
Yeah. The way you guys are doing it now, the setup is perfect. It looked like the citizens input, and I don't want to get hung up on this, but it looked like every time the last few meetings, it kind of lands at like 5 or 6 o'clock. It's not like it's 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, or, somebody's driving to try and get to the meeting and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I know it can't happen that way all the time, but it almost seems like you worked it out where the setup seems to work. And, the agendas do come out probably, I would guess, a week in advance, if maybe at least 4 or 5 days in advance. You can read the agenda. They're usually 1,000 pages long in every municipality, but you can read the agenda and then you can send e-comments in on the topics that you want to talk about.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I mean, we're starting our meeting at 4 o'clock. If we had our citizens input in the beginning like we did before, we'd be having citizens input probably 4:20.
Yeah.
A lot of people are still driving home in. You
Yeah.
know, citizens input, if you look, you know, typically has been towards the end of the meeting. I think the earliest has probably been about 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And I know some of our meetings have went to 8:30, 9 o'clock. So citizens input is 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and I think citizens input would actually start a lot earlier if we could just get Stanky to keep his speeches a lot shorter than they usually are on some of the topics. So too soon? You guys don't know me yet? Too soon for that? I'm just joking around. No, the first city council I ever covered in Oneonta, New York, the meeting started at 7:30. I mean, it was absurd by the time the meetings got over.
Well, they didn't have a lot to talk about. It was a small town.
It was like 4,000 people. So,
Well, like I said, and you mentioned it, you know, if you look around the state, your major municipalities, and, you know, we're a top 7 city, we're going to be a top 5 city. Most of those governmental entities, their meetings are in the morning.
yeah. Yeah, and the county board does it the same way. Their public comment is at the end. I think the school board meets, I don't know when the school board meets. Yeah. So anyway, that's citizens input, but go ahead.
Well, I'm going to change the way you worded this. So
Please,
there-
that's why I gave you the question.
that's right. So there was some online comments about Slipaway receiving incentives to build, you know, incentives from the city to build. Can you explain how that works and how businesses are eligible for that incentives?
Sure. I mean, if you look at, you know, our CRA, we have a variety of incentive and grant opportunities. And council, along with city management, has developed a criteria that we must follow as far as is probably business oriented, not residential. It's business oriented. You know, so the slip away discussion, you know, you heard a lot of people going, oh, I can't believe you're spending my tax dollars on those type of incentives. Well, really, if you don't live in the CRA, number one,
You didn't pay it.
you didn't pay it to begin with. And number two, it was a portion of that is that local tax and that county tax is taken out. So they're not paying any additional tax. So if anyone really had a legitimate argument to make, it was the people who live in the CRA.
Yeah.
Because the other people weren't even involved.
Yeah.
So to get back to the slip away, they had two particular types of incentives. One was an enhanced, like a TIF agreement that the city, and that particular TIF agreement was for $726,000 over a 10-year period. So TIF is tax increment financing. So what does that mean? And it's a very complex formula, but to try to sum it up quickly, back in 1987, when the CRA was established, there was a baseline that was determined on what the tax value of the CRA was. So any improvements while we had the CRA, what they look at is the base value compared to what the values are today. So when Slipaway did their development, which was about a $20 million development, of course, their tax, ad valorem tax is going to be much more because of the contribution and investment they made for the project. So what we did as a part of an incentive, we took the $726,000 over a 10-year period. So if you do the math, that's about $72,000 a year that we have an agreement with them. If they pay that particular amount, and actually we only give back 75%, we give them their tax dollars back.
Right.
That's what a TIF
It's a tax break.
Okay.
Right. We're not taking anyone else's taxes or tax monies that we're giving them back their own money.
But it's also important for people to know that anybody can apply in the CRA. You can,
Sure.
you got to meet certain
Usually
criteria.
TIF agreements you see with larger developments.
Mhm.
We did it with the Cove. We did it with the Bemney East with Lee Health and the project right up the street. We did it with the Grove project. We'll probably do it with Seven Islands. So this is something that is common in larger developments. And that's an incentive that municipalities typically try to give to bring that development to the city.
You're trying to bring business in.
Trying to develop development.
Right.
You did something with the coffee shop too, not the coffee shop, the coffee place. Was it?
Yes, and that hasn't come before council yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but we're trying to do that as well. The other incentive that Slipaway applied for is they call it the big grant, which is a business infrastructure grant. And what that is if you spend dollars to in your construction project for infrastructure, you're entitled to be reimbursed. And how that particular grant works is if you spend up to $1 million in infrastructure improvements, you're eligible for a $50,000 reimbursement incentive. If you spend over $1 million, then you're entitled up to $250,000 in an incentive program. They spent well over $1 million, so they were entitled to the 250. Again, it was a policy that we've already established. They met the criteria. They're like any other business. Basically, we as a council, how I do it is I make sure that they checked all the boxes. If they've checked all the boxes and we have a policy in place, then in my opinion, you have to award the incentive.
Yeah.
And that way there's no bias from one business over another.
Yeah, everybody's eligible for it. Doesn't mean everybody's going to get it. And so is the grant that you just talked about, is that from the general fund? Is that taxpayer money?
No,
Or is
that's
that from
all
the CRA.
CRA.
Okay, gotcha.
It's only in the CRA area.
Why did you,
No.
what? Go ahead.
Yeah, you're going to ask, why do you think it's important, since we're talking about the CRA, for the council to oversee that? Because that's not always the way it's been.
Yeah, I mean, that concept has went back and forth over the years. And I can only tell you the last 2 years, I think it's important to look at what we've accomplished in 2 years. This October will be 2 years when we took that over. What have we done in the 2-year period? We worked out an incentive and we got the Cove project built. The project that's coming to fruition, the Bemney East project. We spent $40 million for the property acquisition for the redevelopment area here at Coronado and Cape Coral Parkway. We've done a variety of incentive programs. Many of I've mentioned tonight that we never had before. So the CRA, if you look at it, what we're supposed to be doing is revitalizing the area. And that, if you look at the policies over the last 2 years, that's exactly what we've done. We've taken the money that we get in revenue and we have applied it directly for revitalization in the area.
Gotcha. I want to jump, because you mentioned it, the mobility fees. It seemed like you guys had, how much was the study that you did for them to find out if there was an extraordinary circumstance? You did some kind of extraordinary
Yeah, I mean, that was a part of the entire study. That was just a portion of it. There was a portion in the whole mobility plan.
Well, how much was the whole study?
I know it was quite expensive. I do not have that dollar amount.
Okay.
I could probably get it for you.
So you did a study, and then you guys were having meetings where it looked like you were really honing in on changing impact fees to mobility fees, and growth for growth was words that were thrown out there. And then you had these charts, and the staff came up with all
There
these
was a
charts.
lot of math
And the
in
meetings,
there.
and it looked like the city council members were saying, no, that's too high, but put it here, put it. It was almost like the city council was, they were kind of in agreement that this kind of was going to go through. And you go back to, Mike goes back with the staff, and they come up with all these charts for residential and commercial and all these other things. And then it fails 4-4. I mean, why waste all that time on those things if in your mind, some of you on the council knew it was going to fail? Or did you think it?
Or what happened in between
Did
there?
you change your mind?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think it failed. And the reason that I say that, I don't know if you've looked at our agenda for next week. We're going to have an additional discussion on mobility fees. Now, I think it's important, we spent a lot of money for those studies. And I think it's important that we try to utilize that data. And I think we still will. I think within the next 30 days, I think council will revisit that topic and try to determine exactly, what we want to do. I think it's important to mention extraordinary circumstances. If you invoke that clause, then you can increase over the 12.5%,
right,
no more than 50% over a 4-year period. I think some of the council members were struggling with that. If you look at all the stakeholders in the community, like I told you earlier, I got probably 100 emails on that. I bet you 95 of them was stick with the 12.5%, and probably only 5 was move forward the way you're doing.
So you got $2 billion worth of projects that you need to complete over the years. B is in billion. And even if you went with the plan that the staff put in front of you, you would have only gotten 5. And then, so how much would the 12.5 a year for 4 years gotten you? Less than 5.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look at it, if you look at the data, we were trying to get to our top number in 4 years. So we were going to discount that rate. That's what the original plan. If you look at, if we do the 12.5% formula, it'll take us 9 years to get there, a little over 9.
Yeah, and for anybody who's not in the weeds, the 12.5% is because you can't go above 50% over 4 years because of the state's rules.
Yeah, this is state statute.
Yeah. Okay. So
which there's a little bit of a time thing because this changes in October, right? Can you?
Yeah, the only real big difference between now and October, today, before October, in order, and this is a Florida statute, in order to invoke the extraordinary circumstances, it has to be a 2/3 vote by the council. So that means 6 of the 8 of us would have had to support it.
Will you have 6 next week?
Well, if it's 12.5%, then it doesn't meet the threshold.
Oh, you don't need 6. You just need a majority.
Exactly.
So back to the billions and billions question. So you have 22 billion worth of projects, or 20 billion. Or is it 20? I've already lost track. And you have 5 billion that would come from 500.
He's not good with the math. You do the math.
So,
how much?
So where's the money going to come from for
About $2 billion
for the infrastructure? Where is it all going to come from to build out?
Well, I guess the thing is,
I'm sorry, are you the mayor? How are you answering the question?
If it's not going to come from,
I thought my wife was up here.
I'm telling you what, hang on to your hats. If it's not going to come from the mobility fees, like if that gets put back, then the burden still falls on the rest of the taxpayers, right?
Yeah,
I mean, at least that
way,
would have helped some.
If you look at the mobility plan, and there were things in that plan, I think if anyone read through it, there were things in that plan that probably we would have never done.
Right.
And it's all about the plan to determine what it's going to cost. So council, in my opinion, really never had an opportunity to really go through the plan and eliminate exactly what we thought was maybe pie in the sky kind of ideals.
Okay.
And, but, as the city manager said, council has the opportunity to either push full on the gas pedal to try to get projects done, and then, or let off of that gas pedal in order to bring projects to fruition. And I think it has to be a balance. Sure, could we raise taxes through the roof and get these projects done quicker? Absolutely. I don't think anybody has a desire to do that. So we got to find that fine balance. just like all the industries, all the community residents that reached out and said, look, and I think what some people didn't take into account, when you look at, especially on the commercial side, we're about 90 to 10% on a commercial to residential tax base. Since I've been here since 2017, and even before that, every council member candidate always has a platform. We got to increase our commercial tax base. Every single one, myself included. But if we are going to invoke these fees on the mobility fees on the commercial side,
they're not going to
3 to 4 times the rate of what they are now, what do you think is going to happen?
Okay, so
if you can't bring the businesses
Right.
now,
so
how are you going to do it then?
So you don't have the infrastructure to get them to come in, and you don't want to charge them to put the infrastructure in. Who's going to pay for it?
Well, I don't think that's a fair.
Not all. You don't want them to pay the amount that came across last week. So what's the fair percentage? And if you don't do that, you do have to raise taxes.
Well, you either have to raise taxes or prioritize the projects, and maybe not do them as quick. And that's the balance that I mentioned that you're going to have to try to find. So if you look at the $2 billion that we were going to bring in with the mobility fees, still that was just a fraction of what needs to get done.
So on the top of that list, what is the number one priority? Is it infrastructure on the other side?
I think council was clear in the discussion. Top priority are roads and intersections. That's the top priority.
So do you have enough money to do that?
Yeah, I think we'll look at those. We'll increase that, hopefully, and get the mobility fee program passed and increase those fees. I think it may take us 9 years to get there, but we'll still be there.
So you said.
Now, I just want to ask, the impact fees, which this would replace that, but those impact fees had not been raised in quite a long time. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I've been pretty candid on this. I think we're partly to blame. We haven't raised our impact fees in 19 years. And I know we tried to do it, back before I came on council. It didn't pass.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, like many of our fees, I would like to see just a small progression each and every year to make sure we keep up with our times. And we failed to do that over the last 19 years when you're talking impact fees.
I guess I understand around 2008 or maybe during Hurricane Ian.
Oof.
But how the hell do you not raise fees for almost 2 decades in a town that's growing, a city that's growing the way it is? I mean, whose idea was that?
Yeah, again, I know they tried to do it at least 2 different circumstances and it didn't pass. So, just like last night or 2 nights ago, the mobility fee. But again, I think we'll part of that will be saved and we'll be able to use that mobility plan. But again, I think we're partly to blame that we haven't looked at this sooner.
So speaking of fees and things like that, you're not going to raise, it doesn't look like you have still the public hearings, but it doesn't look like you're going to raise the millage rate. At least it didn't seem like, well, you can't now because you can't go up, you can only go down. But the other fees that are, there are other fees like garbage and things like that are going up. I mean, do you feel like the taxpayer is being treated fairly with all that? The fees are going up. The millage is not.
Yeah, and I'll give you, I looked at some of that data today. First of all, that the millage rate could still go up. I don't think it's going to, because our not to exceed rate was 5.51 and our millage rate today is 5.21. So it could go up, but there's been no discussion or appetite from council over all the discussion. So I think the millage rate will probably stay the same. So let's talk about what the rollback rate. And a lot of people don't understand what a rollback rate is, but basically what the rollback rate is basically to collect the same amount of tax that you did the previous year. Our millage rate today is 5.21. It's probably going to stay at that. And the rollback rate is 5.14. So we're pretty close. And I can tell you this, the 8 years that I've been sitting here, that is the smallest delta that I've ever seen between what the actual rate is and what the rollback rate is. So I looked at a house today that had a value of $424,000 last year, and it had a value of $436,000 $1,000 this year.
Yeah.
If the millage rate stays the same,
Well-
if you look at their trim notice, all of the taxes, the county taxes, South Florida Water Management District, Cape Coral's taxes, the school board, all of the taxes, you look at the bottom line, once you add all that up, from 25 to 26 was $60. That's the difference as far as the trim notice on that particular house.
An increase of $60.
An increase of $60 from last year to this year based on an assessed value of $424,000 to $436,000 on that particular. So we're only talking $60. Also, I think it's important to mention, when I looked at that tax bill and I asked every one of the people listening here today, go look at your trim notice. And when you look at Lee County, the school board, and the city of Cape Coral, the highest tax out of those three are the school board. And that's your state and local.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hear a lot of people complaining, about their taxes go up. And that's why I wanted to go look at this data today. When you look at that data on that particular tax bill, we were about $1,950 for the city of Cape Coral tax, $2,100 for the school board, and about $1,700 for the county tax. And so the school board, myself included, I look around this room, I bet you there's a lot of people here that don't have kids in school.
Yeah.
But that's where over a third of our tax bill's going.
That's a whole different animal. And just to correct myself, even if the tax rate, your tax millage rate stays the same, everybody will get a tax increase because everybody's property values did go up, unless you roll it back.
Yeah, the certified assessed values went up 7.4% this year, but that's why that house that I showed you, it went from 424 to 536.
436, yeah.
Or 436. They had that increase and it was only $60. Now I was going to talk about the other side of the coin that you talked about when you talk about assessments. Now, you basically have a stormwater, a solid waste, and a fire service assessment. They're your three main non-ad valorem assessments that a resident pays here. Now, if you own a vacant lot, you have the lot mowing, but I kind of took that out of the equation. So what I did was I used a house because your FSA is determined on the assessed value of your home. So what I did was I took a house valued at $300,000. And I can tell you, if you look at 2025 versus 2026, as far as stormwater, solid waste, and your fire service assessment, a house valued at $300,000 and 25 and a house valued at $300,000 and 26. The difference in the assessment is $130. 95 of the 130 is your FSA, your fire service assessment. $38 is solid waste and $7 is stormwater. And that's the breakdown. So is it going up? Yes, it is. One thing I think it's important to look with fire service assessment, what are you getting for it? The fire service assessment, that's $95 on that $300,000 house.
You don't want to merge.
And that's $8 a month.
Yeah.
Is that worth having a premium fire department here in the city of Cape Coral? For me, it is.
I thought one of the public comments at one of the last meetings when somebody came up and said, there are no fires in Cape Coral. There are no fires in Cape Coral. Why do we need all this fire protection? I thought, well, that was interesting.
80% of our calls are medical.
Yeah.
So I know we'll have a little discussion about public safety later on, and I'll be able to tie that in, how important this FSA is and really what the community is getting for that.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a few more questions, and I don't want to run out of time. So speaking lastly on the money, do you think the city's in good financial shape?
100%. If you look at our financial policies, we are meeting our financial policies. We're audited by an independent auditor each year, and I think that we don't have any material issues. So we get a A+ each and every year. We have great bond ratings, so financially we're doing great.
All right, so let's ask about that one. Staying on the
The one you just said?
yeah. No, here, this one.
So why does it cost so much for the North Cape homeowners to hook up water?
Yeah,
So-
if you look at that, I went and looked at the data today on that. Back in 2013, Southwest 6 and 7, their hookup fees were $23,000. That was in 2013. In 2017, we did the North 2 UEP. Their hookup costs were $24,000. And in 2023 for North 1 West, it rose to $33,000.
Wow.
And so it went up about $9,000. And that's simply the cost of goods, services, and labor. You know, I'm in the building industry. I know if I look over the last 3 years or so, my costs have risen at least 30%.
But just to hook your water up, that costs $30,000 just to hook your water up. Why?
Well, no, the $30,000 is your utility expansion program assessment that each house pays. Now, you look at the entire project and you divide that up, how many households are in that project? And that's how you come up with that dollar amount. Every project's going to be different. There's, additional lane miles. There's additional pipe footage. So each one is analyzed. Each project is analyzed specifically.
Are you ever going to be able to get that down?
The only way that you're going to get it down, I will tell you, we did get a $25 million grant that we applied to the 2023 assessment that really helped that $33,000 number.
So it would have been more?
Yeah, it would have been more. We did get 25 million. We were supposed to get 1 million from the federal grant because we apply for grants all the time for this.
Mhm.
The only one that has come to fruition is the $25 million grant from the state.
All right. So I have to admit, I've met a few council members and I've seen the amount of work and time that you guys put in. And I can't, for a city that's 220,000, that's going to be whatever it's going to be, 250,000. What is build out? 250,
400,000.
400,000.
We're going to be a top 5 city.
I can't believe that these council members are not full-time jobs. Honestly, when I saw what the council members were making, and I know this was a whole controversy, I kind of laughed. Like, I make more money than council members doing this, and I can't even get the speaker to work. I mean, it's just the whole thing seemed bizarre to me. Like, it's like $48,000. And so I know there was a whole controversy about it, but again, coming in with fresh eyes and seeing the size of the city, it's bizarre to me that's how much money you all make.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, and we did a study back, a year or so ago, what other municipalities are paying, and we're well under that data. If you look at it, being a council member and a mayor should be a full-time position, but with that, there should be full-time responsibilities that come along with that.
Yeah.
And I do believe that the council members and the mayor, whomever they are, should be paid a full-time rate and make sure that they are there for full-time responsibilities. And, we're a top 7 city in the state. I travel all over the state on a particular board that I am, and I meet with the top 10 cities every quarter. And when you look at where we are as a city, we're going to be a top 5 city when we're built out to 400,000. What the resident has to ask, in my opinion, do you want part-time representation or full-time representation? If you want part-time representation, you're going to get part-time results. If you want full-time representation, you're going to get full-time results. And I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah. Do you think the way the government is set up now, you got a strong city manager and you have I don't mean this in a negative way, but it's a weak city council. The mayor is elected mayor, but really the mayor doesn't have any more power than any of the other council members. Is that the right form of government? Not to mention you have 8 members, which I've never seen before. Like, you have an even number of representatives, which you can cause a lot of ties and things like that. But would you like to see a different form of government, the way that the city is growing?
Well, I think when you look at that, for me, we're a city management form of government. And I think if you look at those types of governments, it's either that a city manager form of government or a strong mayor. Usually your strong mayors typically are your larger, that's your Tampas, your Orlando, Miami, those type of cities. Do I think at some point in time, our city could possibly entertain going to a strong mayor form of government? Probably. Are we there yet? I think our city manager form of government now is working great. If you look at, what one thing some people don't think about, if you elect a mayor as a strong mayor form of government, you got that individual for 4 years, whether you like him or not, or she. City man, and if that individual's doing a horrible job, you basically have that individual for 4 years. If our city manager is doing a horrible job, we can get rid of the city manager and get another one.
Right.
So a lot of people don't take that into consideration.
Well, and as you said, once the build out is done, you're going to be a top 5 city. That sort of lays the groundwork for what you were just talking about. Is that kind of common when you go around to other big cities, is that they have a strong mayor form of government? And do they have 8? Like, how unusual or not is that?
Well, I can tell you the 8 is highly unusual, because I have people, what'd you say? 8.
Yeah.
So that is very highly unusual. Usually it's an odd number, 5 or 7.
Yeah.
But when you look at the top 10 cities today in the state of Florida, 5 are city manager form of governments, 5 are strong mayors.
Yeah. When I went to the first city council meeting, I went looking down both sides of the dais, and I'm like, is there a chair missing, or is somebody not here or something?
Yeah, and like you said, a strong mayor form of government in our city, if you look at our city charter, the only difference between me and a council member, and I've been both, I still have the same vote, and one opinion. And the only difference is I run the meeting. That is it. And I sign the legal documents.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. So last question about the salaries. What is the right salary right now, in your opinion, for the city council members and the mayor? What should the salary be?
I can tell you, when we did that study a year ago, and I'll give you an example. Port St. Lucie, we use them as a comparable just about for everything. Whether it's our salaries, whether it's what size our departments are, things like that. We use them all the time. I can tell you that the mayor in Port St. Lucie makes $106,000 a year. It's a city manager form of government.
Oh.
And the council members make $66,000. And that's a city that's a pre-platted community, almost the same geographic size, about $10,000 to $15,000 or 10 to 15,000 people more in population. But so they're that's what their salaries are today. When we did the studies, that's where they all were. And that's where we tried, you got the big, and you didn't mention it tonight, but you got the big stipend.
Well, hold on. Don't jump into
let
that.
Let me just say that one of the
save
things
the good stuff for the end.
One of the things that I've heard people complain about, not here, but in other municipalities, for the general public, can't afford to leave their job to run for office. When you say to them, hey, you're complaining, you're unhappy, why don't you run? And they're like, I can't afford to do it. Well, this would fix that, because now you have enough money for a reasonable person. I mean, I know teachers aren't making that, to go and serve and do what they want to do that they're unhappy about every other time.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, I've been here 8 years. This is my 3rd council. And I've seen a variety of council members in that time. I've seen council members that show up to the meeting, and that's the only time you really see them. And I've seen council members that are there every single day, all day. And again, it goes back to, you want part-time representation or full-time? If a person puts more into the job, I think you're going to get better results on the other end. It's as simple as that.
So just between us kids, nobody's listening. Is there any council members now that just show up to the meetings and don't do any work?
Of course not.
So real quick.
We do have one council member that's here tonight that's there every day, all day.
Yeah.
And I got to give her props.
Yeah. All right. Lori's here. Joe's here also. So, real quick, because it's close to 6 o'clock already.
Yes, you need to cut
I
it
could be
up.
here for hours.
I know, but Kyle will be upset with us.
So where are we on the short-term rental fees? There seems to be a hullabaloo about raising the fees.
What's it with you and hullabaloo?
Using big words tonight. I feel like I can use a few big words.
Maybe
to this crowd.
kerfuffle.
So, by the way, what are they now, and where do they need to go to?
Well, right now, when you look at rental registration, we only have one program right now. It's a $35 one-time fee, period. Doesn't matter if you're an annual rental or if you are a short-term rental. I think we try to characterize short-term rentals anything less than 6 months. Right now, it's a $35 one-time fee. During our discussions as a council, and we had this topic of discussion that will be coming up for a vote. Right now, the recommendation is a $35 annual fee and a $350 fee for short-term rental. One of the things that I know staff did was they went back and they looked for a full cost recovery allocation, what it would cost, because short-term rentals in our city, number one, most of them don't abide by the regulation of 7 days. They have to rent for 7 days or more, 6 nights, 7 days. So they're violating that. And we do get a lot of complaints on short-term rentals.
I'm sure.
So staff went and looked at to see exactly what that's costing us. And that's $441 a year per unit is what they felt that the full cost recovery allocation would be. So right now, the recommendation is $35 for annual rentals, $350. Don't know where that's going to end up. As a council, we'll have that discussion here soon. I think on the 17th of September.
I just think of 35. I mean, no offense to anybody that rents a home, but $35, is that another one of those fees that you didn't raise for 2 decades? It just seems like
here's
Yeah.
honestly, here's how I look at this. I attribute this to a business tax receipt that every business in the city has to pay. I pay one for my business. This business here pays that on a yearly basis.
Right.
Yeah.
Short-term rentals it's a business.
Right.
It's a business.
Yeah.
And they don't have a business tax receipt that they pay now. So, less than $1 a day at $350. I think that's a fair value to pay to do business in the city of Cape Coral.
So I didn't know Mike was going to be here, but what the hell? I'll ask it anyway. His annual evaluation is coming up. How would you grade the city manager? What kind of job is the city manager doing so far for you?
Who were you talking about? No, I think, our city manager has an excellent working relationship with all of our council. And I know he does with me. I think he's done an exceptional job. Are there areas that we could improve upon? 100%. There's a couple.
And tell me what they are right
and
now.
And he and I has had that candid conversation. And I'll tell you, one of my areas that we have been talking about probably for 5 years. So this hasn't occurred on his watch. He inherited it. It's our code enforcement. And I know he's meeting every week with his staff. We've made some drastic changes on how we enforce code. We have something called 991 citations that we can issue. So you don't have to go through the whole lengthy magister process. It's almost like getting a ticket. So we're making a lot of changes, a lot of strides. We're not there yet, but I have confidence that we'll get there.
All right.
All right.
If you could change one thing that
Here you have.
I know he said said you can go till 7. So if you had one
7?
thing that you could do over again since you've been elected, what would it be?
One thing that I would do over, probably when I look back over the last 8 years, probably the thing that I would do differently is the stipend. Now, what I said, and I've said this before, I agree with the city council needs to be paid more. How do we get there? I think we could have done a better job having those discussions more publicly, showing the data that I know that we receive on what other similar sized cities are paying I think we could have did a better job there. And I think that's probably why, and most of the residents that I've talked to after the fact have said it's not necessarily the dollar amount that you were trying to get. It's how the process went down. So I think as a council, for myself included, we could have did a better job with that.
Fair enough. So if you could reel off 2 or 3 accomplishments that you think you've had, the city council has had over the time that you've been here, what would they be in rapid fire?
Oh, public safety for sure. Public safety, since I've been here, we've hired about 65 firefighters and police officers. I think we're hiring 16 firefighters next year, 12 sworn firefighters. So that'll put us up, up well over around 80. Since I've been here, we've opened 3 fire stations. We have a fire training facility. We have a police training facility. So I think our fire department is accredited. There's only 300 in the world, only 31 in the state of Florida. So we have made public safety a top priority, and we have many results to show for it. Infrastructure. We especially in the last 3 years, if you look the last 3 years, what we've contributed to capital and infrastructure, back in 2023, we did 230 million in capital and infrastructure. Last year, 24, last year in 25 that we're just finishing up with now, 278 million. And next year, we've budgeted $614 million. So that's a huge jump. I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're not invested in capital projects and infrastructure." Over 3 years, it'll be $1 billion, and we're on course to 2030 to do $2 billion.
What are some of those big projects that have come to fruition for infrastructure that have happened over the last couple of years?
Oh, I mean, you look.
Huh?
You okay? You sound like you're.
No.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
mean,
start
you got the some of the infrastructure. Look at the Calusa pipe crossing. That was a huge. We're getting water from Fort Myers, bringing it over here. We use that for irrigation water. All of the improvements with the utilities. We have a new utilities administration building down in our plant here in the Southwest. Road improvements over the years. We're spending about we were spending about $6.5 million. We're spending almost 10, 11 million for the same road miles. The UEP projects. I mean, we could go on and on.
And what about a second hospital? Is there going to be a second hospital in Cape Coral?
Yeah, when you look at this second hospital, that's a need for today. That's something that I know I've been working on. I know staff is working on it. And it's part of a bigger plan. And I'll just touch on it real briefly. About 5 years ago, I went to Chief Lamb at the time, and I said, first of all, I want to make sure that we have the right response when it comes to emergency management, or if you're 80% of medical calls or the fire calls. Want to make sure that we have enough personnel and we got a great program. I want our fire department to be accredited. They had already started on that about 5 years before that. So we finally brought that to fruition. And why is that important? You have to meet a lot of criterias, and we met all those. And that's a part of our emergency response to the community. So that was step one. Step two, I went and met with the county. At that time, about 3.5 years ago, there was only 5 EMS ambulances that Lee County controls in the city of Cape Coral. We have 10 today. So I advocated to get more. We're going to add an 11th next year. We have 13 fire stations now. We want to get one in every fire station. So we've made great strides there. The other thing that we did was we went from 3-man power at the firehouses, a 3-man shift, to a 5-man shift. So we incorporated rescue trucks. So they're the ones that go out and respond as well for medical calls. So we have 5 personnel instead of 3 personnel working in the firehouses. And that's all for our EMS response. So the last piece of the puzzle for me is the hospital. Yeah. And I know we've been working with HCA. We've had some great dialogue. staff, our EDO department has been working with them diligently on a weekly basis. So we're hoping to bring, if it's not, then someone else. We did reach out to some other health organizations. It just didn't fall in their 5 to 10 year plan. So that's why we started reaching out to other partners.
All right, the $64,000 question will be the last question. Your seat is up next year. Are you going to run again?
Yeah, my seat's up next year. And I'll be honest with you, I've been going back and forth on this particular topic. Hopefully my wife's not listening. She's busy talking over there.
She's paying the bill.
But I probably will be running again for next year.
Oh, big news again, everybody. You broke news at the beginning and you broke news at the end. So any final thoughts before we let you get whacked by your wife over there when you get back
might
to
have
the
broken
I knew
hearts
that
over
question was going to come up. So that's why I made sure a police officer was here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. Can we get a big hand for the mayor of Cape Coral, everybody?
Thank you very much.
Gunter. Thanks so much for coming on. All right, everybody. Before we get out of here, I did want to tell you about our sponsor, and then I'm going to tell you about all the guests that are coming up. Nuviva Weight Loss. We have our Nuviva table right here. If anybody wants to lose weight on the way out the door, come right over and see our friends here. They've been in Southwest Florida's #1 weight loss practice for 20 years. They specialize in GLP-1 medications, peptides, and in-office nutrition coaching to deliver custom dietary plans that are truly personalized. Give them a call right now. Their phones are on the table, 239-471-7127, 239-471-7127. And before we turn the music back on, Marie's going to raise her hand. We're selling $20 raffle tickets for a Pink Shell getaway, a weekend vacation at the Pink Shell. 100% of the money is going to the Cape Coral Youth Council. The drawing is going to be in 2 weeks when Jen comes on the show. And so please be generous with your dollars. It's all going to the Youth Council. They're getting ready for a big trip. All right, we have Council Member Rachel Caduc coming on next week, then Elmer and Gloria. And then Jennifer Nelson will be on September 26th. Did we do okay tonight, folks? Are we okay to stay? Thank you all for coming. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.